Okay, we're in the fourth section of chapter 5. Your homework is up above if you're in Algebra 180, 8 problems. So now we're moving on to when you have more than one inequality, and it's called a compound inequality. It says when two inequalities are combined into one statement, the result is called a compound inequality. The words and, okay, and or are used to describe the relationship between the two parts of the inequality. Example 1 asks to write an inequality for the following. P is between 4 and 5 inclusive. So if P is between 4 and 5, then it must be greater than 4 but less than 5. And inclusive means including. It says notice both P is greater than 4 and P is less than 5. Must be true. The graph of the compound inequality is the intersection region of the two parts of the inequality. So if you're greater than 4 and you're less than 5 or equal to it, okay, you have to ask yourself where they connect. Well, they'd only connect in this segment. It says, what numbers do both graphs above share? Well, this shares from 4 up to 5, as this is 5 down to 4. So they only share this little segment right here. Okay, you wouldn't graph both of them. You would say you are between and equals 4 to 5. It's not greater than 4 and less than 5. It's saying you have to be greater than 4 and also in addition to less than 5. So a compound inequality involving and has a solution region that represents an intersection, what they share, an overlapping of the solution regions for the separate parts of the inequality. This type of compound inequality is called a conjunction. Okay. In certain restricted airspace, airplanes must fly below 10,000 feet or above 15,000 feet. It wouldn't be and. You couldn't be below 10,000 and above 15,000. That doesn't make sense. You'd have to be an or statement. It says write and graph a compound inequality to describe the situation. So let A be the altitude in feet. The inequality that represents flying below 10,000 feet would be less than if you're below. And if you're above 15,000 feet, you'd be greater than. So either, not both, has to be true. So we could put 10,000 here and say we are less than 10,000. And we could put 15,000 here and say we are above 15,000. Notice there's no intersection. It's an or statement. So if we were to graph them on the same line, it doesn't matter. You can just put them where you want. You would say, okay, this is your situation for the plane. Pick one. They're not overlapping. It's or. It's one or the other. You have to fly below 10,000 feet or fly above 15,000 feet. This area here from 10 to 15, for some reason they can't fly. It says a compound inequality involving or has solution regions that are a union, not a conjunction. Or the total of the solution regions of separate parts of the inequality. This type of compound inequality is a disjunction, not a con. Con is with. So if either A is less than 10,000 or A is greater than 15,000 or is less than 15,000 is true, then the disjunction is true. It should be greater than. There's a typo. So you have to do one or the other. You don't have to do both. Okay. Let's move on to trying to solve them. It says you try. I don't need you to do this or this. Just go to the end. Can you do this? Can you do this? Okay. All right. So pause and try it. Okay, so it's saying you're in between 2 and negative 4, but they're open circles. You can't be them. Open circle, you're less than 2, or you're 5 and greater. For the most part, and or in between statements will be a segment, conjunction, or they're going to be going in opposite ways. It's not always the case, but most of the time it is. Okay. It says solve and graph. So if you get an equation like this, you can solve them separately or solve them all together. Let's try this separately first. So I could rewrite it as one equation this way. Divide both sides by 3. And you get x is 4 and greater. And then here you could make another equation. Divide both sides by 3. They're going, this one's greater than 4 and this one's less than 1. So it's an or statement because you're in between them. So we're at 4 and we are greater, and we are at 1 and less than. But is that even true? No, because this is saying I have to be in between here. So a solution would be, let's pick one. Let's pick 5. If I put 5 back in here, what's going to happen? Is it going to work? And it won't. So there's no solution because they do not overlap and it was an and statement. I don't like that example. Let's try some on the back, here and here. I don't like that example. Just pretend it didn't happen. Okay. Here, okay, you're saying they're in between. So these, and these should be fairly easy. They're going to be a lot the same. So you are saying your open circle on 5, your open circle on -7, and you shade in between. Same thing here. I have to be greater than -2 or equal to it, and 4, shade in between. Or is different though. This one's saying I am less than 5 or I'm greater than equal to 7. For the most part, they'll look like this. I am less than 4 or I am 12 and greater. Here, I have to subtract 2 not only from here, but here and here as well. So -9 is less than or equal to 3x is less than or equal to 6. Now divide everything by 3. You're going to get -3 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 2. So you're going to be in between 2 and -3. Okay, same thing here. Try it on your own. Subtract 6 from all sides. Divide everything by 4. So we were less than 3, or we were greater than 4. Okay, and that's how you're going to do most of these. This page, it's going to be the same thing. Okay, you can keep trying if you want. And this was just a word problem that we had already done in class, so just kind of ignore this. But this is just going to be the same thing. Your homework is going to be questions like this. Like I said, ignore that one problem here. I don't like it. But we'll talk about more awkward problems like that. I just didn't want you to deal with something like that at first. Your problems for homework are these 8 problems. Make sure you do them. Write your name, the assignment, 4 quadrants. And make sure you have your questions ready for when you come back to class.